Hi and welcome to Good and Great Christian Book Reviews. This week I want to look at a very serious subject, and that is the whole issue of depression. This is something that affects both Christians and non-Christians and is both outside the church and inside the church. There's a sense in which depression is a respecter of no persons. It doesn't matter how much you've got or haven't got. Depression can hit anyone and any Christian. And so it's important really that we have good resources to help us to prepare, perhaps for ourselves to have depression or a loved one, or perhaps even when you're going through a difficult time, a dark night of the soul, or the black dog is coming, to have a book that can help you. And a book that I think is excellent and really helpful is a book called Christians Get Depressed Too. Christians Get Depressed Too by David Murray. This is a very sensitive book. It's quite a short book and simple to understand, yet it's not a simplistic book. It's a book that takes depression seriously. It's written by a man who is a very good theologian, but as well knows the reality of these things and has researched extensively into it. And what he has done is he works through where there is such a crisis with depression, where depression comes from, and that is a very complex issue, and some of the ways we can respond to depression. And I think what is wonderful about the book is he avoids the extremes. In fact, he's very anti the extremes. So he's not just saying there is only a spiritual answer, and he's not saying that there is no spiritual answer. But rather what David Murray does is really takes a holistic approach, a synthesis where he brings in lots of different things. So for example, on the chapter where he's talking about dealing with depression, he is able to talk about things like lifestyle, exercise and eating and sleep. But he is also able to talk about chemicals and the imbalance in the mind and the need for medical professions. But also within that, he's also able to talk about spiritual help and the place of the gospel and the church in that, and the wrong thinking that goes on in our minds. He's able to look at all of these things and bring them together to show really those aspects of common grace and special grace that can help us in depression. At the end of the book as well, there is a chapter for caregivers, for those who are walking with people through these things. I think this is a great book. If you've never read a book on depression from a Christian perspective, I think this is probably the best book to read first. It's a really good starter. If you are really worrying about how you're feeling at the moment and you feel able to read a book, this book is worth reading. And if you have been struggling to think, well, what do Christians think about depression? How should we respond? Then I really think this is a good first protocol for you. So Christians Get Depressed Too by David Murray. Just as a little note at the end, he also has a website, and the website is called headhearthand.org. Headhearthand.org, and on there he's got a little section about Christians Get Depressed Too, and he has a number of videos of interviews with Christians who have struggled or do struggle with depression, and that is incredibly helpful. So Christians Get Depressed Too by David Murray.